40 years ago, a band cranked their amps up to 11. Incidentally, their actions opened a whole new genre of comedy in the process. Now, Spinal Tap is back. That's right, Spinal Tap 2 is officially happening. And this isn't just some old-fashioned cash-in. It's a full-on reunion that brings the legacy, the laughs, and a lot of loud music back to the stage. This episode of Movies Unbound takes us behind the scenes of how the original movie became a hallmark, and what inspired the long-awaited sequel. Let's dive in. Origin story, how a fake band became real legends. Before The Office, before Modern Family, This Is Spinal Tap basically invented the mockumentary format. Back in 1984, it was unlike anything else. A fake band filmed like a real documentary, getting into increasingly absurd situations with a completely straight face. The camera work was raw, the interviews were dead serious, and the jokes, delivered so straight-faced you'd swear they weren't jokes at all. That's what made it revolutionary. This Is Spinal Tap didn't announce its comedy, it let you slowly realize you were watching a total send-up of rock and roll excess, one painfully awkward moment at a time. The film followed 3 fictional British rockers, Nigel Tufnell, David St. Hubbins, and Derek Smalls, on a fumbling American tour plagued by every imaginable disaster. Bad ticket sales, confused audiences, venue mix-ups, a manager who seemed to be managing absolutely nothing, and band decisions so dumb they almost seemed believable. There was the infamous amp that goes to 11, a joke so iconic it's now part of the pop culture dictionary. Or the Stonehenge prop that was supposed to be epic, but ended up hilariously miniature. And of course, the drummers. So many drummers, all of whom met suspiciously bizarre ends. One literally exploded. At the time, audiences didn't know what to make of it. Some thought it was a real documentary, others thought it was a prank. That ambiguity was the point. It blurred the line between skit and reality so convincingly that even some musicians thought they were a real band. And here's the twist. Many of those musicians said the movie wasn't exaggerated, that it was too real, that Spinal Tap didn't just make fun of rock stars, it eerily captured the weird, chaotic, and ego-driven world of touring bands better than most serious rock documentaries ever did. Over time, This Is Spinal Tap grew from a box office sleeper into a full-blown cult classic. It became a rite of passage for comedy lovers, musicians, and anyone who's ever dealt with a sound guy named Kenny who says, "Yeah, I can fix that." And nearly 40 years later, it's still the gold standard for blending satire with just enough reality to make you cringe and laugh at the same time. Why a sequel now? For starters, 2025 marks the 41st anniversary of the original film. 2024 would have made a perfect full-circle moment to revisit the band that turned rock absurdity into art, but the Hollywood strikes of 2023 hindered its release that year. In 2021, Tony Hendra, the actor who played the band's hilariously overwhelmed manager Ian Faith, passed away. For the original cast, that loss wasn't just a sad chapter in the band's fake history. It reminded them just how much time had passed, and how rare it is to have something this strange and beloved still resonate after 4 decades. Hendra's passing became the emotional spark that reignited the idea of one last ride. Not a reboot, not a reimagining, but a final bow with the original players, playing the same ridiculous characters that fans have been quoting since the 80s. And here's where it gets even more meaningful. The band hasn't performed together in 15 years. That long silence gives the idea of a final concert a real sense of gravity. Time has passed, people have grown older, the amps have been collecting dust. So when the band gets back on stage in Spinal Tap 2, it's not just for laughs, it's a send-off. Rob Reiner, who's returning both behind the camera and in front of it as the hapless documentary filmmaker Marty DeBurgi, put it perfectly. We left a lot on the table. This is the final encore. And after 40 years, they've earned it. Sequel details, plot, cast, and return to form. So, what's Spinal Tap 2 actually about? This is what we know so far. The sequel picks up in real time, decades after the original mockumentary. The band has long since faded from the spotlight. No surprise, considering their long history of exploding drummers and logistical disasters. But now, for reasons we can only imagine will be both heartfelt and hilariously misguided, they're reuniting for one final concert. And of course, Marty DeBurgi is back behind the camera to capture every awkward, off-key moment. It's a classic getting the band back together story, but filtered through the wonderfully offbeat, deadpan world of Spinal Tap. And unlike many sequels, this one isn't trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not chasing younger audiences or trying to modernize the tone. It's about what happens when you take 3 aging rockers, guys who once took themselves way too seriously, and see if they can still fake their way through one more gig. The original cast is fully on board. Christopher Guest returns as Nigel Tufnell, the dim but lovable lead guitarist who once proudly showed off an amp that goes to 11. Michael McKean reprises his role as David St. Hubbins, the slightly more sensible frontman who still gets tangled in his own stage gear. Harry Shearer is back as Derek Smalls, the eternally serious bassist with a soul patch and a full-blown inferiority complex. And yes, Rob Reiner is returning as both director and as Marty DeBurgi, the faux documentarian who somehow makes everything more awkward by just being there. This is the same team that created the original film, and that matters. They're not trying to hand the torch to a new generation, they are the torch. They built this weird little comedy niche, and now they're coming back to play in it one last time. The film promises the same dry, chaotic energy that made This Is Spinal Tap, a cult classic, but now with the added layer of age, legacy, and probably some arthritis jokes. It's about what happens when time marches on, and the band tries to march with it, even if they forgot which direction they were going in the first place. Star-studded cameos. Who's joining the madness? Let's be honest, half the fun of Spinal Tap is watching real musicians laugh at how brutally accurate it all is. So it's no surprise that Spinal Tap 2 is stacking its stage with some serious star power. This time around, the band isn't just playing to the camera, they're rubbing shoulders with music legends. And not just any legends. We're talking full-blown icons. Here's who we know is showing up. Elton John. Because why not add some actual rock royalty to the mix? If there's anyone who understands over-the-top stagecraft and glam theatrics, it's Elton. Expect sequins, expect sass. Paul McCartney. Yes, that Paul McCartney. The former Beatle is reportedly making a cameo, which honestly feels like the ultimate seal of approval. It's like the mock band getting a nod from the real-life Hall of Fame. Garth Brooks. The country megastar has always had a flair for the dramatic, and we can't wait to see how he plays off Tap's barely holding it together vibe. Whether he's playing himself or a fictional character, one thing's for sure, there will be cowboy hats. Questlove. As a drummer and music historian, Questlove knows exactly how much Spinal Tap nailed the absurdity of band life. You can bet he'll bring both musical cred and comedic timing. Trisha Yearwood. A powerhouse in her own right, Yearwood adds even more musical weight to the mix. Her presence hints that this concert might include some unexpected genre mashups and probably a few heartfelt moments too. And it's not just musicians. Rob Reiner has hinted at surprise appearances from other comedians, actors, and maybe even a few industry insiders who've been keeping quiet about their love for Tap. In other words, don't blink. You might miss someone huge in the background, either tuning a guitar or accidentally getting trapped in a pod again. So, when can we finally reunite with Nigel, David, and Derek? Spinal Tap 2 is currently slated for release by September 12, 2025, timed perfectly to celebrate the original film's 41st anniversary. And if you've somehow never seen the original, don't worry. There's a newly restored re-release of This Is Spinal Tap hitting screens around the same time. It's the perfect double bill, the beginning and the end of one of rock's most hilariously cursed bands. The sequel is being distributed by Bleecker Street, known for backing smart, character-driven films. So while this movie will absolutely be loud, ridiculous, and full of malfunctioning stage props, it's also being handled with care, the kind that respects the legacy while still having a little fun with it. All signs point to Spinal Tap 2 being more than a nostalgia trip. It's a celebration, a final bow. So there you have it. Spinal Tap 2 is real, it's happening, and it's bringing back everything we loved about the original. Whether you're a longtime fan who's been quoting "These go to 11" for decades, or you're just discovering the genius of mockumentary comedy, this sequel looks like it's going to hit all the right and wrong notes. Let us know what you're most excited to see in Spinal Tap 2. More malfunctioning stage props? Another spontaneous combustion? Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned right here on Movies Unbound for more behind-the-scenes looks, deep dives, and everything you love about the movies that move us. Until next time, turn it up to 11.